Nagbabalik tayo dito sa Kababayan Today. Ako po si Gigi Dement. Joining us now is a Brooklyn-based independent producer. Her proudest accomplishment to date was producing the 2011 Academy Award-winning film God of Love, written and directed by Luke Matheny. She is one of the first Filipinas to ever produce an Academy Award-winning film, aka Oscar po yan. She is currently producing two projects which are very exciting indeed. She's here on Kababayan Today once again to talk about these projects for the first time actually, and her representing her Filipino roots in the entertainment world. Mga kababayan, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Gigi Dement here on the show. Hello, Gigi.
Hey, nice to meet you.
Nice to finally meet you.
I know.
We have common friends.
It's
you know how it
crazy.
is in the,
It's a very small community.
Yes,
One
very
degree
small.
of separation.
That's right. But I have heard tons and tons of stuff about you. In fact, I saw your pictures when you went to the Oscars. And we were rooting for you, and we were just so proud that, wow, finally a Filipina is at the Oscars. But before we talk about this huge accomplishment, let's discuss first, where were you raised here in America?
I was raised in Dubuque, Iowa.
Iowa?
My mother and father came over from the Philippines in the early 70s, post Vietnam War. And I was there until, I went to the University of Iowa. So I was there from like mid-70s to the 80s. And then I moved to New York.
Okay, how was it like being a Filipina growing up in Iowa? Were there lots of Filipinos around?
There were no Filipinos around. There were no Asians around, basically. We were the first family in Dubuque, first Filipino family in Dubuque. There was one other Asian. She was Japanese, and my mother, of course, she and my mother became friends. And then the Nami, who was my mother's friend, sort of stayed more isolated. So my mother became like Asian Central. So we became, lots of Filipinos came through, but it didn't matter. It was like if you were Chinese, Vietnamese, they all came through our household. So it was fun, but very isolating.
Okay, I'm very interested to hear about the Kababayan story, especially when you grow up here, how that plays on your identity, because both your parents are Filipino, their sensibilities are very Filipino, they're first, sort of immigrants that come here, first generation. How does that impact you, and how lucky are you to have been able to sort of follow your pursuit in the entertainment world?
Well, my mother was an actress, or she was an aspiring actress before she came here. She did eventually go to college and get a different sort of degree, but she did have aspirations, and she wasn't, I don't know what film she was in, but if you look her up, it's Manolita. I don't even know if she was at Borja, Buenaventura, or Almario, which one she went by.
Okay, so artista yung nanay mo sa Pilipinas.
Yes.
Okay.
And she showed me all of the clippings from the newspaper that they all said goodbye to her, and that was pretty exciting to see. That has nothing, I have no idea if that has any bearing on why I'm in the film industry now, but as a kid, I never thought about doing anything else. I either wanted to be in front of the camera, on the stage, singing or acting, or behind the camera, directing, writing, and eventually producing. I didn't even know there was such a career as producing.
Yes, and especially as a woman producer as well. I mean, this is like something that just recently, more women that are producers are being recognized for their work, but to actually say that this is what I'm going to pursue, I'm a woman and I'm going to be a producer, not a lot of people get to say that.
I was a very reluctant producer. I remember it was 2005. I was working at the New York Film Academy. It was a couple of our friends in common. Mike Sandoval was there. He was the director of the program, and I was working with him, and I was just putting things together, and I had produced, for years. I was the reluctant producer. I was the person who could get stuff done. I was never afraid to talk to people about negotiating. I had done that, at other jobs that, just sort of paid the bills. And then Clarissa de los Reyes said, I want you to be my producer. She's like, I think you'll be really good at it. And I'm like, really? And at that point, that was the click for me. I was like, well, maybe this could be something I could do. Because sometimes when you have dreams of being an actress or a director, your career finds you. So at that point, I was just like, you know what? I'm not going to it's not going to bother me like having to figure out what, you know, the craft services and the food and the trucking. I'm just going to own it. And that's, I remember 2005, that's when I decided that's what I was going to do.
Okay, so I think what you've basically done is really talk to us about what a producer does, right? Because sometimes people are like, oh, you're a producer. What is that?
Yeah.
What are you producing? You know?
Right.
So, I mean, for people that don't understand, it's basically everything that you've described. It's putting a team together.
Right. It's finding the script sometimes. It's finding the director. Sometimes the director and the script come to you. And then after that, you have to look at the script, and you know this, but I was like, you have to look at the script and figure out how to make that and what all the moving parts are.
Yeah, so who to attach to actually get it done.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay, well, when we return, we're going to talk about this shiny medal that not a lot of people can say they have. An Oscar. Gigi, it is a pleasure just to be in your presence, knowing that you've got that shiny metal object. It's a big deal. And if anybody says otherwise, it's not true. Because really, for anybody who comes to Hollywood to be able to say that they've been recognized by the Academy Awards is a huge accomplishment. So in behalf of me fangirling, I want to say, you know, a lot of people have congratulated you, but to be in your presence, to actually talk to you and like, wow, this is really cool. This is the perks of the job that I get to do, you know, to talk to you about this. So when we return, we'll get to know all about her shiny sort of gold statue called the Oscar. We'll be right back.